That's hit deep into left, and that's out of here. Safe. Welcome to Joe Ellen Stringer Court here in the Jefferson College Fieldhouse. Tonight, Lewis and Clark Community College comes to town to take on the Jefferson College Vikings. Jefferson College on the left side of your TV screen in the navy blue uniforms tonight. Lewis and Clark on the right in the black unis with blue stripes. And before we get to an exciting conference matchup tonight, let's take a look at the roster for your Jefferson College Vikings.
Tori Ickery, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Kinley Johnson, Wood River, Illinois.
Gabrielle Schmitz, Festus, Missouri.
Elizabeth Reed, London, England.
Stephanie Mentz, Gerald, Missouri.
Thais Soares, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Alexandra Niemiec, Helm, Poland.
Ashley Jensen, Farmington, Missouri. Holly Reynolds, Ozark, Missouri.
The Vikings will have the first serve of the night. Thanks for being with us. I'm Matt Keeney with JCTV. And it will be the sophomore Thais Soares serving for Jefferson. Across to Lewis and Clark. Here's Ashley Jensen, the freshman, to Holly Reynolds, the sophomore, and the first point of set number one goes to the Vikings. The team that wins the first 3 out of 5 sets wins the match, and each set is played to 25 points. The first team to reach 25 points wins the set, as Soares serves yet again for the Vikings. Jeffco coming into the match tonight with a 16-8 overall record, as Gabby Schmidt sends it ahead to Reynolds. And another point for Jefferson, is that one under the net. Lewis and Clark unable to get to it. So Jeffco 16-8 overall on the season, 4-0 in conference play, and 2-1 in region play. The Lewis and Clark Trailblazers 15-20 overall in the year, as that just over the net, but it's out. 3-0. Jeffco leads it here in the first set. So Lewis and Clark 15-20 overall on the year, coming into tonight, 2-4 in conference play and 1-4 in Region 16 play. As it's sent over, Jensen gets a hand on it. Tori Ickery, the sophomore, again to Jensen, but we will have a double hit call there against Jefferson. So the first point of the night to Lewis and Clark. 3-1 now, the tally in set number one. And the Trailblazers now have the serve. And that's out. Another point for Jeffco, 4-1. As the serve from Brittany Twitchell was just a bit too far tonight. Here's Holly Reynolds, the sophomore, to serve for the Vikings. And the spike out of bounds. So the Vikings jump out to a quick lead here in set number one, 5-1. Now the score. Reynolds has it and is ready to get things underway. And that was blocked. Reed and Alexandra Niemitz in on that one. There's Alexandra Niemitz, the freshman from Poland. Reynolds and Elizabeth Reed sends it over, and there's another point for the Vikings. Elizabeth Reed gets the kill, 6-1. Jeffco on top. So Reynolds will serve again. soft touch over.
Ashley Trent.
And it was tipped by the Vikings, so a point there for the Trailblazers, 6-2 now. Jefferson still with the lead here in
Leah Carter and
the first set.
Gray checking in for Lewis and Clark.
And a couple of substitutions for Lewis and Clark. Here is the serve. That was Melissa Gray with the serve for the Trailblazers. Now Acree, the sophomore Tori Acree gets the kill for Jeffco.
Kinley Johnson checking in for Jeffco.
7-2 now. Vikings on top. And with the serve for Jefferson, it's Kinley Johnson, the freshman from Wood River, Illinois. Not too far from Lewis and Clark Community College, which is in Godfrey. There's Nimitz. And Reed gets a hand on it for Jeffco. That one sent back. Gabrielle Schmitz, the sophomore from Festus, was there, and Jefferson does get it over. And a couple of Vikings up front, but that does fall in for a point for Lewis and Clark. 7-3. Now the score here in the first set. So a 4-point lead for the Vikings. Here is the serve from Melissa Brockman. And there's Elizabeth Reed. Brockman got a hand on it for Lewis and Clark. And blocked by Jeffco. Ashley Jensen was there for the Vikings, the freshman from Farmington. So the Vikings get the serve back. Nimitz now, 8-3. Jeffco on top here in the first set. And that one out of bounds. So the hit from Michelle Quirk goes out of bounds, and Jefferson gets its 9th point in the first set, 9-3. And Nimitz, the sophomore from Poland, with the serve. Misdirection there, and Lewis and Clark, nice job to fool the Vikings, 9-4. So Jeffco with a 5-point lead, and Michelle Quirk serves again for Lewis and Clark. Jensen up to Elizabeth Reed, and a strong spike, but out of bounds. Out of bounds, so Lewis and Clark with another point, 9-5. Vikings still lead in the first. So the Vikings on a roll, winning 9 of their last 10 matches, and looking for their 17th win on the night as Thais Soares gets the kill. Thais Soares placed that perfectly just inside the out-of-bounds marker. 10-5, Vikings out in front. And here is Schmitz, the sophomore, from right down the road in Festus. Just a little bit too far. Serve was out of bounds, so Lewis and Clark gets its 6th point. Vikings lead by 4, 10-6. Trailblazers will have the serve. And Tracy Miller, the sophomore, will do the serving duties for the moment. Ashley Jensen sets it up for Soares, who barely gets it over the net. And that blocked by a couple of Vikings up front. And Reynolds gets some air on that one and gets the 11th point of the night for the Vikings after the block, 11-6.
Checking in for Jeffco. Ashley Jensen to serve.
So Jensen ready to serve with the lead here for the Vikings. Jensen up for Tori Acree. And Holly Reynolds was there to send it right back over. Now Jensen to Acree. And Soares will take it. And that one, waiting for the call, inbounds. That one just landed inside the back line. So 12-6. Vikings in front by 6 now. So we will have a timeout. Be back in a flash. Jensen will have the serve for the Vikings. Vikings lead at 12-6. Jensen ready to go with the serve. Up to the front of the net and off of the hands of Jensen, and just too far for any of the Vikings to catch up to it. So 12-7 now is the score. The Vikings still lead by 5.
Jessica Braswell to serve.
And the serve from Lewis and Clark. Jensen to Akery, off of the hands of one of the Lewis and Clark players. They recover and get it over, and that's in for a point.
Brittany Twitchell.
So Gabby Schmitz made a dive for it, just couldn't get there. 12-8 now, the score here in set number 1. And Jessica Braswell will serve again for the Trailblazers. Jensen has it for Holly Reynolds. That one's blocked. Jensen again, this time for Akery, and that's in for a point. Akery with the kill. 13-8, Jeffco leads it. So nice job there by Lewis and Clark to keep it alive, but Vikings finished the job with a spike from Tori Akery. Here is Thais Soares with the serve for Jefferson, the sophomore from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. That's up front and off of Tori Akery, and that's a point for Lewis and Clark. The Trailblazers get another one, 13-9. Now the tally, Vikings still with the lead. But the Trailblazers making some noise here recently as Brittany Twitchell with the serve for Lewis and Clark. Nemitz, and nice hit from Nemitz there. 14-9 after the kill from Nemitz. And it's Holly Reynolds. Jensen was there, and Akery over to Nemitz. And that one's too far. Out of bounds, 15-9.
Holly Reynolds to serve.
So Jeffco leads it by 6 here in the first set. Reynolds will serve again. Soares called for it. She gets it. Elizabeth Reed with a strong spike at the front of the net. Lewis and Clark didn't have a chance on that one as Reed gets the kill, 16-9. Now the score here in set number 1. Reynolds again. That one is saved. Can Lewis and Clark get it over? They do. Nice play. Here's Nemitz, and right in the middle of Lewis and Clark defenders, 17-9. Jeffco on top here in the first. So Jefferson looking to improve to 5-0 in conference play tonight. And a couple of home matchups still on the schedule as Lewis and Clark sends it over. Soares to Jensen now for Akery. And Tori Akery with the kill, 18-9. Vikings with the lead. But a couple of home matches left this season in 2009. October 23rd and 24th is the Halloween Classic, and Merrimack comes into town for the conference finale on the 28th. And with the timeout, we will take a quick timeout ourselves here on JCTV. Vikings lead at 18-9. Vikings with a 9-point lead here in the first set, on top 18-9. Here is the sophomore, Holly Reynolds. Up to the front of the net, soft touch over for Lewis and Clark. Now Jensen over to Nemitz, and off of the players at the front of the nets. And there's another point for Jeffco. Brittany Twitchell gave chase there for Lewis and Clark. Wasn't much she could do on that. So 19-9, Vikings lead it. As Melissa Gray. And that's over, but out of bounds. An out of bounds call, 20-9. Jefferson leads it, and Jeffco 5 points away from winning set number 1. Reynolds. Sent over by Ashley Trim for Lewis and Clark. Now it's Reed for the Vikings, and a strong play again from Elizabeth Reed. 21-9 after the kill from the sophomore from London, England. Vikings 4 away from taking the first set. Reynolds again. soft touch over. Jensen, Acree, who will have it? It's Nemitz with the soft touch right in the middle of three Lewis and Clark defenders, 22-9. So the Vikings have Lewis and Clark on their heels, not sure sometimes whether to expect the spike, whether to expect the soft touch, that misdirection. Doing the Vikings well so far here in set number one. 22-9, here is the serve from Reynolds. There's Trim with the spike, and she gets that over two Vikings defenders. Reed and Nemitz were there, but Trim with a nice play to get the point for Lewis and Clark. It's 22-10 now. Lewis and Clark still trailing. And Melissa Gray will serve for the Trailblazers. Reed for Nemitz this time, and that one off of Twitchell. Here's Acree. Trailblazers keep it alive. Vikings get a hand on it. Nemitz sends it way high and over, and Melissa Brockman just couldn't get it over for the Trailblazers. So 23-10, and the Vikings 2 away from winning the first set. The freshman Kenley Johnson into the game for the Vikings, and she will serve. And that point will go to Lewis and Clark. So 23-11.
That violation is the call. Point goes to Lewis and Clark.
So 23-11 after that net violation. Brockman will serve for the Trailblazers. And Schmitz to Jensen, now to Reed. And again, another strong play from Reed. Brittany Twitchell made a dive for it, but it was too strong for her to make a play. Set point now for the Vikings, 24-11 the score, and one more point. The Vikings win set number one. It's the sophomore, Alexandra Nemitz, and here we go. And the ace, an ace from Nemitz. Vikings win set number one, 25-11, and we'll be right back with the action on JCTV.
The teachers' doors are always open.
Faculty commitment.
What I like the best is just the overall enthusiasm that the teachers have.
The faculty understands our students.
Jefferson College has a very comprehensive education.
Just being part of Jefferson College is like my second family.
Top quality education.
I'm Rachel Schrage.
I'm Jose Soloria.
I'm Della Selman.
I'm Shayna Payton, and I discovered my future at Jefferson College.
Vikings lead the match 1-0 after taking the first set 25-11. And now we've switched it up on the court. Lewis and Clark on the left side of your screen, and Lewis and Clark will have the serve. It's Jessica Broswell with the serve to start things off here in the second set. And Tori Acree starts it off in fine fashion with the first point for the Vikings with the kill. And now it will be Gabrielle Schmitz with the serve. So Vikings winning set one in convincing fashion, 25-11, and looking to keep it rolling right along in set number two. But Lewis and Clark ties it all up here at one. And so Brittany Twitchell will serve for the Trailblazers. Thais Soares up to Ashley Jensen, back to Soares. And that one over out of bounds, but Lewis and Clark sends it back in. Now Schmitz ahead to Jensen, to Nemitz. Kept alive by Twitchell back there, and Jensen got a hand on it. Now Schmitz to Nemitz. Soft touch, but into the net. So Lewis and Clark grabs the lead early on here in the second set, 2-1. And it's Brittany Twitchell, the sophomore from Alton, Illinois, for Lewis and Clark. Now Jensen to Elizabeth Reed, and Reed gets the kill, 2-2, after the kill from the sophomore. A couple of Lewis and Clark defenders were there, but Reed found the spot on the court for that second point. Now Johnson will serve for the Vikings. Into the front of the net for Lewis and Clark, but the call against Jefferson there.
What goes to Lewis and
So
Clark?
3-2.
For Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark leads it here in the second set. Vikings do lead the match 1-0. Melissa Gray there with the serve. Now Jensen to Elizabeth Reed for the Vikings. And that one blocked by Reed. Jensen was there as well. Now Kenley Johnson to Jensen to Reed. But Lewis and Clark keeps it alive, and Reed right there again for the Vikings. And out of bounds. Out of bounds, so 3-3. Things are tied up. So the Vikings jumping out to a quick lead in set number 1, but things are close here so far in the second set. 3-3, and here is Nemitz. And that one off of the hands of Twitchell, way high into the air, but saved, and it will be sent over, but out of bounds. So nice effort from the Trailblazers, but could not get a handle on that one, and the Vikings lead it by 1, 4-3. Nemitz again. Twitchell went down and made sure there was no ace on that play, and possibly a net violation there. Either way, the point goes to the Vikings. 5-3. Jeffco leads it by 2 here in the second set. And Nemitz, of course, will continue to serve. Misdirection there and out of bounds. So Lewis and Clark tries to fool the Vikings, but it doesn't work. 6-3. Jeffco leads it. And Nemitz will serve right after this timeout here on JCTV. Vikings on top, 6-3. Jeffco leads the match 1-0 and leads set number 2, 6-3. Nemitz is ready. And that one out of bounds. The hit from Michelle Quirk for Lewis and Clark outside the line, so 7-3. Vikings still with the lead. And Nemitz will get ready again. High into the air, Soares for Ashley Jensen. Back to Thais Soares, and that one inbounds, just barely, but on the right side of the line for the Vikings, 8-3. Jeffco leads it here in the second. So the Vikings rattling off a few points in a row, and Nemitz will continue to serve until Lewis and Clark scores. There's Quirk, and that's too far, out of bounds. 9-3, Vikings out in front. The sophomore from Poland, Alexander Nemitz, will do it again. At the front, and Reed was there. Vikings get the point. Net violation. 10-3. Vikings with the lead. So the Vikings have added to that lead. 7 points now. Into the net. Another point for Jefferson. 11-3. Nemitz into the net, so finally a possession change, but the Vikings with a nice lead, 11-4, after the last serve went into the net for the Vikings. It's Melissa Brockman for the Trailblazers now. And there is Thais Soares, kept alive, and a two-hit. Double hit violation on Lewis and Clark there, so 12-4. Jeffco leads it here in the second set. And now Elizabeth Reed will serve. Sent over by Quirk for Lewis and Clark. Now here's Holly Reynolds, and that's inbounds. Holly Reynolds put it into the back corner for the Vikings. She gets the kill. It's 13-4. And timeout, Lewis and Clark. Vikings on top here in the second set, 13-4. It's all smiles for the Vikings. They lead it 13-4 here in the second set. They're having fun down there. This one sent over for Jeffco. There's Kinley Johnson, Ashley Jensen, Thais Sorez, soft touch. Lewis and Clark keeps it alive, and Elizabeth Reed, a diving play to keep it going. Nemitz sends it over. Nice job there by Jeffco to keep the play alive. Now it's off the arm of Sorez, and Nemitz back to Sorez. And there's a point for Jefferson, 14-4. Jeffco leads it by 10. After Thais Sorez comes up with the kill for the Vikings. So with a 10-point lead, here's the serve from Reed. And a bit too far on the serve, so Lewis and Clark gets the point. 14-5 is now the score here in the second. Michelle Quirk is getting ready for the Trailblazers. Bounces the ball a few times, now the serve. And nice serve there from Quirk and the Trailblazers.
Point goes to Lewis and Clark.
Kinley Johnson made a dive for it for the Vikings, but could not get there in time. 14-6 now. Ashley Jensen ahead for Sorez and off of Quirk. And Quirk gets it again after it's saved back there by Jessica Broswell. And that one blocked by Lewis and Clark, but out of bounds. So the Vikings get the point on that last play. So it's 15-6, and the serve from the Vikings freshman, Ashley Jensen. And that one will be a point for the Vikings. Leah Carter made a play for it for Lewis and Clark, but it fell in right in front of her. 16-6, Vikings back with a 10-point lead. And Jensen. Twitchell for Lewis and Clark. Sorez tried to make a play. That one's going to get out of bounds. Both Thais Sorez and Holly Reynolds tried to get to it. Just couldn't do it. And 16-7 is now the score. So Tracy Miller will serve for the Trailblazers. And Gabby Schmitz to Jensen to Tori Akery. That one into the net, and the point to the Trailblazers on that. Akery into the net for the Vikings, so after the violation, it's 16-8. And the serve from Miller. Holly Reynolds, that one blocked. Reynolds for Sorez, and that's in. 17-8 after the kill from Sorez. Nice positioning there from Sorez to put it right inside the out-of-bounds marker. And Sorez will have the serve for Jeffco. 17-8 score here in the second. Vikings lead the match, 1-0 into the net. Double hit there.
2 hits violation, 1 goes to Jeffco.
So 18-8, Jefferson back with a 10-point lead here in the second. And Thais Sorez is ready. To the front, Twitchell. Gabby Schmitz was there, and Sorez up to Nemitz. And the soft touch over, and that falls in. Nice play there.
Ball's on the floor. Point goes to Lewis and Clark.
Olivia Walker was there for the Trailblazers.
Melissa Brockman checking in.
And Melissa Gray in the area as well on that last play. 18-9. And Lewis and Clark with the serve. Tori Akery, uncontested kill right there. 20-9.
Elizabeth Reed checking back in for Jeffco.
Or excuse me, 19-9
Gabby Schmitz to
is
serve.
the score here in the second. So no defender can make a play on that last one. Now Schmitz with the serve for the Vikings and missed. That one missed by Brockman.
Point goes to the Lady Vikes.
And after the out of bounds call, it is now 20-9. Jefferson with the lead here in the second. Schmitz again. Reed got a hand on that one. Now Akery over to Nemitz. And sent ahead. Can Lewis and Clark save it? Twitchell does. Now Jensen to Reed, and that one's blocked. Strong play at the front of the net for Lewis and Clark.
One goes to the Trailblazers.
Gray and Twitchell were in the area,
Brittany Twitchell.
as well as Brockman, and now Brittany Twitchell will serve it for the Trailblazers. They trail by 10 here in the second set, and the Vikings lead the match 1-0, and that one on the line.
Out of bounds.
But out of bounds.
Goes to Lewis and Clark.
So it was close, but it did hit the line, so 22-11 now, the lead for the Vikings. Jensen for Elizabeth Reed. That one could not get over. Now Reed again, kept alive by the Trailblazers, and off of the Vikings and out of bounds. So 12 now is the score for Lewis and Clark, and the Vikings have 20-12. 8-point lead for Jefferson. Brittany Twitchell again. And she's ready. Soares in front to Jensen to Nemitz, and off of the head of Brittany Twitchell. Hope she's okay. She's up, and with a smile on her face, it looks to be all right. But that point to Jefferson, 21-12. So watch out on that other side.
Kinley Johnson checking back in for the Lady Vikings.
Johnson will serve for Jefferson now. And Twitchell able to get a hand on it, but not enough.
Balls on the floor, point goes.
Not enough for Lewis and Clark. 22-12. Jefferson on top, and again, a 10-point lead. The Vikings have been able to stay right around that 10-point lead all set as the point goes to Lewis and Clark. 22-13 now.
For Lewis and Clark.
Melissa Gray will serve. Jensen comes back to get it. Now Soares is there. And that one off of the Lewis and Clark player Broswell, and a point for the Vikings. 23-13. Back to that 10-point lead, and 2 points away from taking a 2-0 lead here in the match. Nemitz now. And a violation. It's a point for the Vikings, so it's set point here in the second. 24-13 is the score, and one more. The Vikings jump out on top, 2-0. Here's the serve. Too far.
Out of bounds. Point goes to Lewis and Clark.
So 24-14 now the score. Lewis and Clark does have the serve, though, to try to stay alive here in the second. Brockman for the Trailblazers. Ashley Jensen to Elizabeth Reed, and there we go. The Vikings win set number 2 after the kill from Elizabeth Reed, 25-14. Vikings lead it 2-0. We'll be back with the third in a moment on JCTV. Vikings looking for the sweep here in set number 3. Vikings lead the match 2-0, and of course the first team to win 3 wins the match. And the Vikings taking the first set 25-11, and the second set 25-14. And Jefferson does have the serve to begin things here in the third. And it's the sophomore, Thais Soares. soft touch and into the net. The first point of set number 3 goes to Lewis and Clark. 1-0. Trailblazers lead it. And here's Brittany Twitchell. Twitchell took that hit last set off the face. She looks to be all right. She's back in there. That serve out of bounds, so it's all tied up here at 1 in the third set. Elizabeth Reed into the game for the Vikings, and it's Gabrielle Schmitz to serve it. And Reed went over the net. That looks to be a violation, so a point to Lewis and Clark, 2-1. Trailblazers lead it.
Checking in for Lewis and Clark.
And Melissa Gray serves for the Trailblazers. Ashley Jensen ahead to Tori Akery, blocked. And a point for Lewis and Clark. Some excitement there for the Trailblazers after picking up their third point here in the third set. 3-1. Lewis and Clark leads it. Jensen ahead to Nemitz. And giving chase near the bleachers and sent over, so it is saved by the Trailblazers. Now Reed for the Vikings. And on the net, and the point to Lewis and Clark. Reed went back, but it just clipped the net, and she couldn't recover, so 4-1. Vikings lead it. Or excuse me, Lewis and Clark leads it. Tori Akery now with the kill for the Vikings. 4-2 now.
Checking in for Jeffco.
So Akery gets the point for Jefferson, and the Vikings get the serve. Here's Kinley Johnson. Reed was there, and Jensen to Kinley Johnson. And that one, a point for Lewis and Clark. The call was inbounds, so 5-2. Trailblazers have the lead. And Reed with the kill for the Vikings. So 5-3.
Elizabeth Reed.
Jefferson trails by 2 here in the third, and the sophomore, Alexander Nemitz, will have the serve. Blocked by Jefferson. Elizabeth Reed was there for the Vikings. So 5-4. Jefferson has cut it to a 1-point lead for Lewis and Clark. And Nemitz again for Jeffco. A couple of Vikings got their hands on that one, but it will be a point for the Trailblazers.
Point goes to Lewis and Clark.
So Lewis and Clark leads it by 2, 6-4. Michelle Quirk will have the serve. Jensen to Thais Suarez with a strong spike and the kill. 6-5. Vikings trailing by 1 point.
Elizabeth Reed to serve.
Here's Reed for Jeffco. And there's a point for Lewis and Clark. Twitchell in on that one for the Trailblazers.
Gabby Schmitz.
So back to a 2-point lead for Lewis and Clark, 7-5. They lead it here in the third. Jensen and Thais Suarez. And that one will get out, and a point for the Vikings. 7-6. Vikings do trail, but now it's by 1. Here is the freshman Jensen. And Schmitz comes in to take it. Jensen now for Jeffco, and Suarez. And Schmitz with a diving play to keep it alive, and now Holly Reynolds sends it across. Soft touch and nice play there. Olivia Walker in the area for Lewis and Clark. Trailblazers get the point. 8-6. And Jessica Broswell again with the serve. Here is Ashley Jensen to Holly Reynolds. And that one falls right inside the line. Inbounds, and 8-7 is the score. The Vikings get one back. Still trail by 1 here in the third.
Thais Soares to serve.
It's Soares. Twitchell with the soft touch, and it falls in where the Vikings can't get it. So Soares diving to the court, but could not get there. Vikings still trail by 2, 9-7. And with the timeout, we will be back in a flash on JCTV. Brittany Twitchell will have the serve for Lewis and Clark, who leads it 9-7 here in the third. Vikings lead the match 2-0 as Nemitz gets the point.
Nemitz with the kill.
She gets the kill for the Vikings. Nice play there, just on the back line. So Jeffco gets the serve here, trailing by 1. Jeffco blocks it. Tori Akery sets up Nemitz. And too far for Schmitz, and that is inbounds and a point for Lewis and Clark. 10-8. Trailblazers lead it.
Ashley Trim checking in.
So Trailblazers back with the serve. Reed, strong play, but blocked. Ashley Trim was there for Lewis and Clark, as well as Melissa Brockman.
Lewis and Clark.
So a nice play there to block the spike from Elizabeth Reed, and Lewis and Clark back with a 3-point lead, 11-8. And that one, though, a point for the Vikings after Tori Akery gets it across.
Kinley Johnson checking
11-9 is the tally. So Vikings still trail, but do have the serve. Twitchell went down to get that one, but neither of the Lewis and Clark players went for it. Brockman and Gray were right there, but did not get to it. So 11-10 now. Vikings down by 1. And the call here goes to Lewis and Clark. 12-10, Trailblazers on top after what appeared to be a violation. It's Brockman to serve for Lewis and Clark. Soares up to Jensen. Now Elizabeth Reed will take it. And Twitchell kept it alive, and Lewis and Clark over to the Vikings. Here is Nemitz. And that one into the net, and a point for the Vikings. Brockman got a hand on it for Lewis and Clark, but they could not get it across the net. So back to a 1-point deficit for Jefferson College. 12-11, Jeffco trails, and Nemitz will serve for the Vikings. So the Vikings staying in this one in the third, despite trailing. And thought for a second they might have tied it up, but no, that point goes to the Trailblazers. So 13-11, Lewis and Clark leads here in the third. And Michelle Quirk will serve. And Kinley Johnson to Ashley Jensen. Now Thais Soares with a strong kill at the front. 13-12. So the Vikings trail, but they haven't let that deficit grow past 1 or 2 points here in the third as Reed with the serve. Nice play to come in there, and a 2-hit violation. So we are all tied up now at 13 here in the third set after the 2-hit. And Reed will serve again. And out of bounds. Vikings grab the lead here in the third, 14-13. So Reed again for Jeffco. And nice play from Thais Soares. 15-13. So now the Vikings lead by 2 after Soares able to get to the front and not touch the net. Timeout on the floor. Vikings on top, 15-13. The Vikings notched a couple of dominant victories in the first 2 sets. This third set's been a little closer, but Jeffco does now have the lead, 15-13 after the serve by Elizabeth Reed and another point for Jefferson College. 16-13 now after the kill from Holly Reynolds at the front of the net. And here's Reed again. That one too far, out of bounds. 16-14. And Lewis and Clark will serve in just a moment. It's Tracy Miller for the Trailblazers. As Holly Reynolds gives some directions to the Vikings, Nemitz, and there's Reynolds, and she gets the point for Jefferson. Placing it just out of the reach of Jessica Braswell for Lewis and Clark. And with a 3-point lead, Ashley Jensen will serve for Jefferson College. Vikings on top here in the third, 17-14, and lead the match 2-0. Twitchell with the soft touch and just out of the reach of Jensen. Another point for Lewis and Clark. 17-15 now. So Lewis and Clark trails by 2. Here's the serve from Braswell. And miscommunication there from the Vikings. Neither Jensen nor Acree could decide who to go after that one, so it's now a 1-point lead for the Vikings. 17-16 as Schmitz ahead to Jensen. Now Acree makes a play, and that's good.
Acree with the kill.
Acree gets the kill near the back of the court. 18-16. Vikings with the lead in the third. Thais Soares now, the sophomore. And Twitchell bumps it over. Soares sends it back to the middle. Jensen over to Nemitz. Kept alive. Soares calls for it, then Jensen to Reynolds. And a point for the Vikings. Braswell gave chase, but couldn't get it over. 19-16. Vikings lead it by 3. And Thais Soares getting ready for the Jefferson serve. And blocked by Acree, but out of bounds. So a point for Lewis and Clark. 19-17 now. Vikings still lead it. Twitchell with the serve. Here's Acree for the Vikings, and just out of bounds. Yes, the point to Lewis and Clark.
Goes to Lewis and Clark.
So a 1-point lead here for Jefferson College, 19-18. And Lewis and Clark and Twitchell retain the serve. Up for Holly Reynolds, and that one off of the hands of 2 Trailblazers defenders, and the point for Jefferson College. 20-18, Jeffco leads it. Here's Schmitz, the sophomore. And the block there from Reed, but Lewis and Clark still with it, but not anymore. 21-18 now after that into the net from the Trailblazers. So the Vikings getting awfully close here in set number 3. We'll see what happens after the serve from Schmitz, and over to the Vikings. It was Jensen, Acree, and now Nemitz with the strong play and the kill for the Vikings.
Nemitz with the kill.
Twitchell tried to get to it, but it was too strong for her, and 22-18. Now the score. Vikings 3 points away from taking the match. We'll be right back on JCTV. 22-18 here in the third. The serve from Gabrielle Schmitz. And the Vikings were there Soares goes down to get it. Jensen up to Akery. Twitchell was there to get it. And off of the Vikings, that's a point for Lewis and Clark. 22-19.
Lewis and Clark. Ashley Trent checking in.
So the Vikings still 3 away from winning set number 3 and the match. But Lewis and Clark with the serve. Nemitz, Jensen, and Reed. And there's a kill for the Vikings from Elizabeth Reed. Nice setup from Ashley Jensen there. 23-19, Jeffco leads it. And the Vikings are 2 away now. Here's Kinley Johnson for Jefferson. Johnson went down to get that one. Now it's Nemitz. And that way out of bounds after it goes off Twitchell. So 24-19, and it's set and match point for Jefferson College. So Jefferson 1 away from the sweep here tonight. Here's the serve from Ashley Jensen, or excuse me, Kinley Johnson there. And off of the hands of Kinley Johnson, and 24-20. So Lewis and Clark hanging in there.
Melissa Brockman to serve.
It's Brockman for the Trailblazers now. Gabrielle Schmitz, Jensen to Elizabeth Reed, and there we go. Elizabeth Reed gets the final point of the night for the Vikings, and the Vikings take set number 3, 25-20, and get the sweep here, 3-0 over Lewis and Clark. Thanks so much for watching Vikings volleyball here on JCTV. We'll see you later.